moved from New York, where I was living, where the mold was initially exposed, where I was exposed to the mold. Moved to Washington State to an apartment, mold in there. Moved to another apartment. Also, I think there was mold in there too. I didn't feel any better moving from any of these three places, but it wasn't until after I left that apartment for a weekend and I stayed somewhere else, that's when I felt much better. And no supplements, worse eating, and yeah, just no food reactivity, no brain fog after eating. So yeah, and then I told that to Joe. We did the real-time lab test. There was positive 4 out of 5 mold toxins on there. And so we were like, okay, this seems like this is a possible cause. So then I was put on mold binders, so charcoal, chlorella, clay, flax. And what I noticed fairly quickly, within maybe a week or two, I saw, my bowel movements they're perfect now. They're normal. And I was like, oh, it's working. But the thing that did not improve was my food reactive brain fog at that time, or necessarily my fatigue. So really just one symptom was improving, and it was a big symptom for me, as I'd been dealing with it for a long time. So I was really excited about that. And I was sort of assigning the cause of that improvement as, oh, we're getting rid of the mold from my urine.
Sure.
And so, yeah, that's where we're at this point. What we've been talking about this weekend was that related to mold getting better, or related to perhaps I just had some bile acid malabsorption and
because let's clarify for people, most of those agents can either help with regularity, stool form, and or they are bile binders, which if you had some bile acid diarrhea could have been driving that. And the fact that you responded so quickly to me makes it sound more like it was a GI mediated improvement. Not necessarily, right? But this is like the devil's advocate question that we should be asking.
Right. And the other thing that would have been expected, in theory, would be because if I was getting rid of the mold from my system, I should have seen improvements in fatigue and brain fog. Sort of, I would expect around the same, time frame of improvement if it was related, if that was the mechanism of improvement. Those things didn't improve. They improved later due to other reasons that we can get into. But yeah, so now and just to be very transparent, I wanted it to be mold because I found an answer. And it still could have been. We don't know. That's what we're trying to figure out. And it very well could have been related to the mold. But I think it's important to question this as well to make sure we don't fall into this, confirmation bias of, I had the positive real-time lab urine mold test, exposure, and then I got better on binders. It could be mold, but I think that's why it's important we're having this conversation, just to question that assumption.
Well, especially if we could even argue, okay, let's say you're having a short-term GI-mediated improvement in your bowels. But reducing the mold burden through the binders wouldn't have a carryover impact on the fatigue and food reactive brain fog for maybe 4 weeks or at the 6-week mark. But if that didn't happen and then something else led to the improvement, then that is more data in the column supporting that it's not mold.